Namaskar, I am Ravi Gupta and I welcome you all to the second day of the World Education Summit. We are in the post lunch zone now, and we are having a very exciting session. It's called Preparing Students for Industry 4.0 Approach, Opportunities and Challenges. Let me just welcome all our esteemed delegates who have joined us on our Avatar platform. This is a 3D platform for virtual conference and virtual expo, where we are hosting this event. And this platform has been created by Elets team itself, keeping in mind the COVID-19 situation. And this session, which is being moderated by Sri Sudhakar Rao, who is the director of ICFAI Group. Let me welcome him. Sudhakar ji, namaskar to you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much.
We have an esteemed panel. Let me welcome each of them. We have Dr. Madhu Chitkara, who is a Pro-Chancellor of Chitkara University, Chandigarh. Welcome, madam. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And we have Dr. Sunil Rai, who is a VC of University of Petroleum and Energy Studies at Dehradun, another prominent and prestigious university in North India. Great honor to have him with us. We have Dr. Parag Sanghani, who is a Provost of PP Savani University, Surat. Welcome, Parag ji. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have Professor Rabindra Bhattacharya. I think he's still to join us. And Dr. Siddharth Jabade, who is the Vice-Chancellor of Vishwakarma University.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Namaskar. And we have with us Vibin Srinivas from Coursera. So with a very diverse and an eminent panel from all over the country, and also with an industry expert in Vipin, I am highly excited to listen to all the panelists, and I hand over our this session to our eminent moderator, Sudhakar ji, who is famous for great moderation of sessions. He has been our moderators in earlier events also, and it's a pleasure to see him how he runs a session. So over to you, Sudhakar ji. Thank you.
Dr. Ravi, thank you very much. It's my honor and pleasure to moderate this very important panel discussion today, preparing students for Industry 4.0, our approaches, challenges, and how do we actually take on this particular mantle and requirement that is dawned on in education industry. I also welcome the distinguished panelists from various universities. This is a very good representation of university leadership and also Coursera on board. And also welcome all the members who have logged in to watch these proceedings and discussions today. We'll also have questions and answers at the end. But let me set the context so that we all follow this topic, and I request the distinguished panelists to be very specific in their responses. And since the time is very short, I volunteer to speak less, and I request others also to convey more and speak less. So that's my request to all the senior members in the panel. And once again, I must tell you that it's my honor and privilege to be moderating this very important panel discussion. So Industry 4.0 is something which is a very often stated buzzword along the circles that we have in education, as well as the intersection of education as well as placements. Now, when we talk about Industry 4.0, for the benefit of all the listeners and viewers, I would like to mention that we have come a long way from Industry 1.0, which started way back in late 17th century. I think from mechanization, from the source of power based on steam, I think the slow and early sprouts of urbanization we saw in the first stage. Industry 2.0 has been the stage of mass production, and also they have seen electricity. This is generally stated as 1870 to 1914. Then Industry 3.0 is the era of electronics and information technology and some systems of automation at the initial level. I think early 1970s is supposed to be called the Industry 3.0, and rapid changes and disruptions have taken place during this Industry 3.0. And what we are currently is in Industry 4.0, where it is cyber physical systems that are disrupting the way we look at the work and the way the work is affecting our life, and therefore how education is going to respond to this. And that forms a very, very important basis of this discussion of how we prepare these students so that they get ready for future. The future is theirs, both in terms of work and in terms of life, as sweeping changes affect every sphere of our society. Now, a brief note about Industry 4.0 so that we don't keep on repeating that and we exactly go into problem-solving discussions. Now, Industry 4.0 is basically characterized by several things that we often hear about: the advanced analytics, big data, robotics, artificial intelligence, IoT, digitalization processes, so on and so forth across the value chain. Now, these are not just the buzzwords, these are extremely important words for us. These processes and these changes are going to affect us, as I said. Now, the advanced analytics will help us in predicting and preventing defects through data analytics. Therefore, that is extremely useful when in your processes, whether it is manufacturing or non-manufacturing. Your robotics will shorten the production cycles, they reduce inefficiencies and the time to market space. Now, the digitalization process or process digitalization is going to save costs and also create better experiences for customer. Now, the IoT, which is widely applicable now, is supposed to bring in higher supply chain, in the sense that when it says higher supply chain, it's going to lighten the supply chain and reduce the lead times all across. Therefore, there are huge benefits from this Industry 4.0. Now, coming back to our discussion, when the world outside is changing, educational institutions are bound to reflect those changes so that we are better prepared to embrace those changes, and there are no gaps between what is needed and what we are preparing our students for. This is in very simple language, what is the agenda for us. Now, when we align to industry requirements, because that is necessary, the education calls for some kind of changes, both in commitment as well as mindset and skill set. There are issues like remodeling of curriculum, issues like building digital skills, issues like tweaking of course delivery. At the first round of discussion, I would like each one of you to very briefly, maybe for 2 minutes, talk about how your institutions are approaching this shift from what we were to embracing Industry 4.0 in terms of remodeling curriculum or building digital skills or even delivery methodologies. How are you managing this shift of teaching and learning pedagogy, especially in the post-COVID era? The last 1 year, we have been suffered unprecedented way, the way we suffered. I think there are lots of learnings. So what was the approach and what will be the approach? In a brief 2 minute, I think one by one we can start. We'll start with Dr. Madhu Chitkara, ma'am, to go first.
Sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity and to be part of this team where all the people are from, I think maximum number of people are from the universities and the higher education institutes. So if we talk about that, the today's topic, that how the students to be ready for Industry 4.0. So if we look around us and we shall find robots operating autonomously on factory lines, drones are delivering the packages to doorsteps, then the 3D printing is in demand. So now if you just remind yourself 15 years back, so I think you will definitely acknowledge that these ideas may have sounded like plot lines of a sci-fi novel or a Hollywood movie. So today there is in the news that they are happening on ground. So it is all happening nowadays, and how it happens, so why we are doing it. So I think in that case, if we talk about our university, Chitkara University, we have two universities. One is Chitkara University, Himachal Pradesh, and one is in Chitkara University, Punjab, in the state, two states very nearby to each other, adjoining to each other. So why we started working on the high-tech labs and the labs pertaining to the industry demand. And for that, I will give you only one example because 2 minutes is given to us. One example is that we have come up with a world-class plumbing lab, which is Asia's biggest lab, and if you see that infrastructure. So there, what we did, because when our mechanical engineering students were going to the industry and they were going for the industry in-house jobs, they were not knowing about that HVAC is what, the plumbing is done in what manners. So these labs were the requirement of the time. So we invested so much in that so that when they are going to the industry, they should not find the gaps in their learning processes. So in that manner, when they were knowing about 3 floors of plumbing, how it is to be done in an actual situation, and where are the gaps, how the reverse plumbing is done, which is the wrong plumbing. So I think when it came into picture, the students were well adjusted in the industry, and the good comments were coming from the industry back to the academia. I think that was the time where we started working on, and we started working in this direction in 2015. So now it is 6 years we have invested in this direction. We were not knowing that the industry 4.0 will come or we have to work accordingly. But in very small steps, baby steps, we started working, and now the result is here, and which we will be going to discuss today in this panel. Thank you,
Great,
Dr.
great,
For
great, great, great. That was a great initiative actually ahead of its time, and therefore it is now actually helping you in times of difficulty, and also in future it's going to be very helpful. May I now request Dr. Sunil Rai to share some of the learnings in the COVID time and connect it to the canvas that we are discussing. Dr. Sunil Rai.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sudhakar ji, and also E- ELETS for giving us this opportunity. I'm delighted to be here on this platform. Uh, I will just put forth few views on the. It's already covered about manufacturing industry 4.0. There are four distinctive characteristics that we felt are there in this particular 4.0. One is that it is integrative, very highly integrative. So it's not about one knowledge, it's not about civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics, computer science. So it's very highly integrative. The second aspect of Industry 4.0 is that it's very highly autonomic. I mean, quite simply, autonomic is something which can diagnose its own failure, correct its own failure, predict failures, and so on and so forth. It's very highly autonomic thanks to the use of IT, a lot of use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, as Sudhakar ji mentioned. The third aspect is that certain things which were considered as high end, good to have things have actually become subsumed in the industry 4.0, which is one is about resource sensitivity. So previously it was challenge to build a good car. Now it's a challenge to build a car which will consume less and less of resources, whatever kind of resources we are talking about, whether it is for manufacturing or for running the car. And the final piece about this is that comprehensibility. We are talking of Internet of Things. Now actually the buzzword is Internet of Everything. Everything talking to everything. Now you can only work in such a scenario when you have a comprehensive, larger picture of why what is happening, for what purpose it is happening, how it could affect elsewhere, and so on and so forth. So integrating these four thoughts, I think what we need to do is to reorient our thinking right at the macro level to say that the degrees, I think we will all have to have relook at it. For example, if we talk of BTech in robotics, which is not yet one as subject, but if you say BTech in robotics, now we're calling mechatronics, you make it robotics, it's a very highly integrative subject. So the emphasis is on skill rather than that on the knowledge areas. So the degrees and the learning areas have to get transformed. For giving the larger this autonomic aspect, we have said that irrespective of we've got 7 schools, engineering, computer science, law, health sciences, irrespective of what you're learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, you will have to learn because you cannot survive in any field today without having these kind of skill sets. So we have integrated these subjects through an initiative, we call it School for Life, where almost about 48 credits we are investing in such subjects. The other subject being for the integrative is exploratory. If I am from design, I can pick up courses from management, I can pick up courses from computer science, and so on and so forth. And finally, very importantly, is about the resource sensitivity, where you have to be people sensitive, environment sensitive, and therefore we are investing almost to the tune of 8 to 12 credits by way of classroom interventions, by way of social internships. Go in the field, learn for yourself why the rivers are drying up, why water tables are getting depleted, and so on and so forth. So I think this whole curriculum would need to have a kind of a relook. The very thing it starts that rather than thinking in silos from Sukshma, now we have to go to Vistrit, and we have to actually start preparing our students for that. So this is few of my thoughts, Dr. Rao.
Fantastic, Dr. Sunil Rai. I think you have given the overview very, very beautifully. From Sukshma to Vistar, I think from small to large, we need to broaden our horizons and look at it in an integrative and collaborative manner. Fantastic out there, sir. Now, I think I would like to have a quick initial remarks from Dr. Siddharth Jabade, the Vice-Chancellor for Vishwakarma University. Over to you, Dr. Siddharth.
Yeah, very good afternoon, Sudhakar ji, and all my esteemed panel members. I am thankful to you all for this opportunity to ELETS. One of the characteristics as we see for this industry 4.0 is it is very applied. Correct. So it's not something which is theoretical, because it itself is by nature a very transdisciplinary, cutting across different disciplines. Because there are machines, and in this industry 4.0, it is essentially in the revolution, fourth industrial revolution, as you have mentioned. The physical, digital, and biological boundaries are blurred. Therefore, the application of industry 4.0 is in different domains, right from manufacturing to biological, biochemical, so on and so forth. So what is important is how do we connect with industry right from the first scratch on the drawing board, so that becomes very applied. And that's where we started this entire endeavor in 2017 at Vishwakarma University, Pune, by establishing a transdisciplinary center of excellence. And its name is C4I4, Center for Industry 4.0, in collaboration with industry itself and DHI, Department of Heavy Industries. It's a government initiative. And we have with us Altizon, which is in the IoT and cloud platform, Kirloskar, and Accurate Gauging, other three industry partners, and Vishwakarma University Pune is the founding partner. So that becomes a starting point, and understanding the problems of the industry, and students are very much involved. And then getting into the backward, where how do we percolate it in the academic curriculum, where we provide them knowledge, and the transdisciplinary platform is to apply the knowledge. And that's where in the curriculum, these learnings are brought in terms of these diverse subjects which are there, and the pedagogy also, which is very important, because it is not something which is only merely taught in class, but it is more of a project-based experiential. So we allocated our workshops and other places to experiment on this, and invited industry people, because each of the project is guided by the industry experts. Also, on the other side, what we have done is also to respond to these changes. We are located in Pune, in Maharashtra, near Mumbai, and we have so many of SMEs, because we see the major challenge of application of Industry 4.0 as well as all these new techniques is in SMEs were struggling, and they wanted to know. So we have conducted surveys and working very closely with SMEs in terms of identifying where they are and how to enhance their productivity and competitive edge using these technologies and techniques in collaboration with industry experts. And now the third component is, when students are prepared, how are they going to be merged or seamlessly transferred to the industry? Wherein in terms of the credits, we have a 30 credits separate assistance program. We call it as a career assistance and placement program, wherein these foundational literacies, as Professor Dr. Sunil Rai sir said, these are now foundational literacies like data science, data analytics, AI, and they are applied to what? Because in the university we have 40 plus programs, how can you use AI for a psychology student and use of AI for, say, music student, and so on and so forth? They are different. Same is with the analytics. So we have carved out those programs which are applied so that students know these are tools and they are in a position to know this. They have that literacy and they are in a position to use this. So that's how I would say, in final words, this is well integrated. The subject itself is transdisciplinary, and this is all integrated in the university in terms of teaching learning, in terms of projects, in terms of internships, and the center plays a vital role to bring in this transdisciplinarity from different domains and create the interface or the metaphor with the industry. So that's what the way we are moving forward, and we see this is the future of the integration and multidisciplinarity of the disciplines. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Siddharth. I think I really like the Center for Excellence of C4I4 that you have mentioned. Very, very interesting. I think we will talk about some of the results and how one can learn from it little later in the second round of the discussion as we come back to you. I would like to also hear from Dr. Parag. Dr. Parag is today the epitome of collaborative learning and participation. He is actually joining this discussion from a car. So the mobile technologies are coming in handy to help all of us. So we are not losing the benefit of Dr. Parag. So Dr. Parag is well connected with us. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sudhakar, and I'm thankful to Elets and Mr. Gupta to allow me to speak to this platform. I think my earlier speakers have already, Dr. Madhu, and already has spoken about the Industry 4.0. But at the same time, I see the major challenge is having a manpower to deliver Industry 4.0. Because the faculties, mostly if you look into the institutions in India, are not well connected with the industries. And that's where we took a initiative at the BP Savani University to have a faculties to give industry exposures and calling the industry expert to deliver the subjects to the collaborative programs.
Sir, you have muted your mic, sir. Can you unmute it?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Am I audible now? Sorry. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
audible.
Sorry. So that is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make it here is that we need to have a manpower to deliver Industry 4.0. Being a higher education institutions, we see in India the faculties movement to the industry and from industry to academia is very restricted. So in that case, we started at PP Savan University that we provide the faculty opportunity to work with the industries, learn new skills from the industry, and deliver to our students, even from the industries also. Because the major challenge is that those who are teaching, they are pure teachers, and those who are industries are pure industry people. And the opportunity to young students to get and equip with the industry 4.0 is a more challenging, and hence we all as a higher education institution needs to see that we also have a movement from the industry to academia and academia to industry, the way in the Western world it's happening. So I personally feel that there are many initiatives we took, like we say, the way we have a student internship, we have a faculty internships, we have a compulsory faculty upgradation programs, you know. So I think my view here to all this is that we all are aware about the benefits, but how we will be able to deliver this benefits Industry 4.2, we have to work on the implementation model for the higher education institutions to bringing the industry and academia together to deliver Industry 4.2.
Thank you,
Hello?
Dr. Parag. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you with the second round of
Yeah.
discussion. Now, let me welcome Dr. RCB. Dr. RCB, you're welcome. Can you hear me, sir? Dr. Rabindra. So you can unmute your mic, Dr. Rabindra. RCB sir, please unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining. We were taking initial inputs from everyone with respect to how your university or institution has managed approaching this shift towards Industry 4.0 in terms of teaching and learning pedagogies. And you can probably chip in with the learnings that you had in the last 1 year, especially under the COVID. Over to you, sir.
Can I say now?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I thought that I will give a big show here. We understand technology. I have to admit, we have yet to learn. First of all, I thank Elets to invite me, and so many people are there in this panel. So I'm very happy from the Globsyn Business School. First thing is that, I personally think that this is the age not of Industry 4.0, but 4.5. The reason is, last year we had done a program, international seminar, on technology management in the age of Industry 4.0. But today it has gone beyond. Because Industry 4.0 had to do something with technology, AI, IoT, etc. But with IoT going on now, what is required is digitalization, virus protection, global warming. A lot has come now. So we have a big thing to do. So I was given a task by Sudhakar to talk about digital skills, what we have done at Coursera. So I would like to say something about that. And then if there is a question answer.
Sir, may I interrupt you, sir? Dr. Rabindra, there's a lot of ambient noise, sir. What we'll do is we will come back to you by the time it is resolved. We will come back to you and take your views. We will go to other speakers for now in the interest of time, and we'll come back to you once your mic settings are addressed properly. So kindly mute it now, sir, and I'll meanwhile invite Mr. Bibin. Mr. Bibin from Coursera is not only a representative of industry, but he's also a representative of education. Now, he's the right person probably to help us understand, are there any ideal frameworks which can enable students to learn these Industry 4.0 skills without actually compromising on what we all have been talking from education, the curriculum-based education, because all the other leaders have spoken about curriculum-based education to a large extent. Now, what are the frameworks that are available which do not actually compromise on the curriculum-based education that you're aware of? Over to you, Mr. Bibin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Sudhakar. First of all, thank you to Elets and all of you for having me on the panel today. It's a pleasure to have this conversation with all of you. So it was very interesting to hear Dr. Rai, Dr. Siddharth talk about transdisciplinary and multidisciplinary skilling and all of that, right? And we've all been through this journey. And what we believe is in the last year, there is what we call a double disruption on industry. So earlier, we were always going through this phase of automation, and then COVID really accelerated that double disruption. What we believe that has led to is 2 or 3 trends, right? I mean, jobs are getting obviously changed. A lot of displacement of jobs or automation of jobs is happening. People are talking about 85 million jobs by 2025. There are a lot of change in skills that are required by workers by 2025. The remote workforce, which is again a very fundamental change that is happening from an industry perspective in terms of what kind of workforce are there in the industry. And then, of course, digitization, right? This is what, at least what we are seeing as double disruption. And earlier it was just about some of the core technologies accelerating digitization. Now we are also thinking about how do we think about the human aspect of it, and which is what we are also starting to see when in Coursera, for example, in 2019, when we looked at the key skills that were trending, we had skills like Python and all of those technology skills, React and Java and all of those. In 2020, it took a big shift that people were starting to learn more and more about, wellness, health, all of those kind of things. And of course, with WF, the World Economic Forum, saying that we'll need to start thinking about skills like, critical thinking, human skills, solving skills, etc. It is truly a blend of the core technology skills and those human skills that we believe will become important for the future of work. In that context, when we think about what is a role that we need to see is and bring together industry and academia, and we believe we have a role to play there. With the nearly 7 crore learners on the platform and almost 1 crore from India, we understand a lot of insights of what people are learning. And right now we have mapped about 40,000 skills that are there on the platform. Learners on the platform can actually learn about 40,000 skills, and we are actually stack ranking that right now. Now, based on that knowledge, what we clearly are thinking, and recruiters themselves are moving to a world where they are not just hiring a headcount, they are hiring for skills, which is why we have very, this differentiated hiring even happening at a campus level, right? I mean, like companies are hiring for generic skills, digital skills, and other skills. So in that context, where we think we have a role to play is how do we bring in this up-to-date industry knowledge to campuses? And like of our 150, 200 partners, almost 50 of them are industry partners like Google and Facebook and, IBM, all of that, who are bringing in highly relevant industry content onto the platform. Now, bringing that into the mix of pedagogy is what I think we have a role to play. And that's the way to help students understand about what is happening from an industry perspective. And we don't believe this is to replace the curriculum per se. It can be a very complementary curriculum perspective. So where we see a good partnership there is the core foundational skills and also the human skills that students get through those social interaction channels that are there on campus will be complemented by the skills that we can impart through online content, like content providers like Coursera or other providers, in terms of the mix that we can bring in. The beauty also of bringing in some technologies like these, like digital learning, is the whole multidisciplinary piece of it, right? Today, in a world where you bring in online learning pedagogy in the mix, you are able to offer much more a variety of electives and possibilities for students. And therefore, they are not limited by their discipline, right? A mechanical engineer wanting to learn completely something else, or a business school student wanting to know about digital product management or digital marketing, which is with some understanding of social media marketing or things like that. All of that can be brought into the mix. And that's where I believe we have a role to play. And the final thing I would say is, I think Dr. Siddharth talked about, applied learning. Again, today with the advent of technology, there's a lot of projects that are coming that can be delivered through online platforms, right? Where virtual environments, virtual lab environments, which gives some level of applied learning and therefore hands-on mastery that can be provided, which is a good, again, combination of providing a wholesome experience for the learner. And that's where we believe some of these experiences can be augmented for the learner. Back to you, sir.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Bibin. I would like to now call Professor Rabindra. I'm sure the problem is already addressed. Sir, please make your point and also help us understand how your university or how your institution has tackled these challenges, or whatever the top two challenges that you have faced, and how it can be operationalized vis-a-vis the discussion that we are having. That is industry skill requirement versus curriculum skills, curriculum-based requirements. Over to you, sir.
Can I say something? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. You are audible.
Am I audible? Okay. See, I'm speaking from the mobile, so it may not be that effective. I promised Sudhakar ji that I will talk to you about the steps that we have taken at Globsyn for digital teaching. The first thing we did was technology selection. We looked at many technologies and found Zoom as an easy one. We have taken that. Then we organized faculty training. Many of our faculty are old, so we picked up from UK. He had given faculty development trainings to all our faculty. Then we started student familiarization. We have got a group called System Engineers Group. They taught all the students step by step with video screenshots and videos how to learn digitally. Then we have done class scheduling again by Systems Engineering Group. We had a faculty-led teaching. Smart virtual classrooms have been made, and with multiple big screens where the faculty can see all the students, and they can identify who the people are. Then we looked at the monitoring online classes. We have a dedicated engineer who looks at them, and at the end of the class, they look at they take their portal, and also if there is any technical snag, they look after it. Now the last one is monitoring attendance. We have been monitoring. Now the problems that we have had is how to ensure student attendance. Initially it was 90-95%, but over a time it is going down. I suspect they also want a physical interaction. The second thing, the problem we have is how to stop cheating in examination. So we found out a way that we give different questions to different set of peoples, and somehow we think we have been able to do that. So I think over the last 1 year, we have been doing all the teaching, enrollment, placement, everything. We have full enrollment, the full up. We have also been able to manage the more or less 90% placement, although it is difficult. Many companies are saying they will allow them after 6 months or so. So I think we have gone to this phase, but it looks to me there is a social, emotional, ethical angle also. And soon we have to do probably exercise. Probably 75% still digital, but there will be still need for 25% in the campus. Of course, we have to take precaution. Only the healthcare people have been given. The others have to be given vaccine. So we are waiting for that. But I must inform you that somehow we have been able to manage the last 11 months pretty well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your response. It is very interesting how you enlisted some of the challenges that you faced in the recent past and what kind of framework you had to actually meet with the immediate requirements. Now, I will request all the university leaders to respond to what is called top 2 challenges in the shift from industry skill requirements vis-a-vis the curriculum requirements as experienced by you or in a prescriptive manner. I'll now start with Dr. Siddharth Jabade first.
Yeah. So one of these top 2 skills is 2 challenges is, one is the nature of the problem in the industry is different. It is literally discipline agnostic. And one of the most important parts that we need and what also at Vishwakarma University we are doing is far beyond merely technology and science. How do we infuse humanity 4.0? How do we bring in the emotional intelligence, empathy, compassion, and a human angle? Because the students and all the future workforce, they will work in a collaborative, cooperative manner. And the nature of the problems is different. It is far beyond technical, right? Just writing a code or a program. So that is one of this. And secondly, how as a university we are with students in their lifetime in the process of learning, unlearning, and relearning, because the rapid change in the entire society, the technology front, what we see every 5 years nowadays, World Economic Forum also announces this. So how are we there to make sure that we are always with them? That's where at Vishwakarma University, Pune, as I was saying, we have this career assistance program. It is for lifetime. So we are with students for lifetime because all of our students will be students for lifetime. And so are we the students lifetime. And that's where these changes we are adapting to and also creating right type of, I would say, ecosystem to respond to this change. And to that effect, the new education policy is very futuristic, very forward looking in bringing the right and left brain together and at least encouraging to bring the right and left brain convergent, divergent thinking, all these aspects, and recognizing its importance, recognizing the importance of liberal arts, humanities in technology and vice versa. So that is something which is very, very promising and encouraging. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Dr. Sunil, we would like to hear from you. Sir, what are the top 2 challenges that you see in operationalizing this particular shift? Very, very briefly, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you. I think one of the major challenges about implementing this kind of an education system or any kind of an education system which is away from the mill is the change of mindset. This change of mindset is required across the regulators, the students, the society, the parents. So when you start coming up with those kind of degrees, so we are a trend-driven nation, unfortunately. So unless otherwise there is a proven record that this particular degree is etc. is selling well, it is not extremely well supported. So one is the change in mindset. The regulators also, the NEP 20 is an excellent document, as was just said by my colleague a little while ago. But the beauty will be in the implementation about all those aspects that are being talking about. And the second one is the true industry participation. See, we always, it's a cliche statement to talk about lack of industry academia participation. On one side, we are, of course, in academia trying to make all efforts. We also have a program called Abhigyat where we send our faculty for externships with the industry. The industry has to truly acknowledge, respect, and take us as partners. Now, in that sense, the industry does not, I mean, if they have to get something tested, we have got labs. If they show a little bit of confidence and if they find there is something lacking, they can send their people. So I am seeing, not to put anything, taking away anything from the industry, but I think industry has to take us little more as their closer friends than just merely providers of talents. So these are the 2 challenges that I see.
Right, so India is a trend-driven nation, and then industry also has to play a much more proactive role. We'll come to Mr. Bibin on that after a while. He can specifically respond to that because he's now representing industry in our panel. Meanwhile, I would like to request Dr. Madhu Chitkara ma'am to talk about top 2 challenges in operationalizing this shift. Ma'am.
I think challenge. My previous speakers have talked about that. What are the challenges? And I think challenges are the same for all the universities. The people who are in education sector, they all are facing the same challenges. But the basic challenge, which I think we all are facing, is that we are doing the research and the Scopus research papers are published, and we are doing the patents also. But I don't think so that there is a collaboration or there is a industry academia interface where We always say that we are preparing our student for the industry, we are preparing our student for the very bright future, but we never said that the industry is looking up to the academia also for how the research is done there, whether they are taking the benefit of the research done by our academicians. I don't think so they have ever read our research papers and any solution which we have suggested to the industry to do that. So that is a basic challenge where this type of gap is to be fulfilled. I will give you one example that when this COVID happened and there were some solutions given by, I'm not saying only with Chitkara University, but I think so many university researchers has given some of the solutions to the industry and to the government. So I don't think so that the industry was very positive because they think that the students are at a very nascent stage, the teachers are not from the industry. So I don't think they don't know the pressure of industry, how this is to be implemented in their industry. So this is a need of the hour to work together on the same platform. If the academia is taking care of the industry, that our students should be ready for them. So industry also should come back to academia to listen to our research proceedings, our research results, so that they can implement, and it will be a win-win for both of them. Thank you, sir.
Great. I think, Mr. Bibin, this is getting more curiouser and interesting also as we take up this particular point. Now, several times we hear from industry when they come for recruitment or when they come for lectures, when they have dining table discussions, is education or is academia just industry ready, or students are industry ready or not? Is the curriculum industry ready or not? Let me tell you, these are very sharp questions. Sharp questions because not that we cannot answer these questions, but they are sharp because they are also barbed with a sense of some kind of cynicism, often which we see. My question is, let me add a little more acid to it. My question is, if the students are asked whether they are ready for industry, we would like to also ask the industry whether they are student ready. Over to you, Mr. Bibin. In the backdrop of the discussion, my question to you, just because we should not forget about it, from the industry standpoint, what are the enablers required to drive this academia industry collaboration? And keep in mind the background of the discussion that we have had. Mr. Bibin.
Yeah, it's a tough question to answer always, right? I mean, in that sense. But, and I think, and some of the points that were made here are very relevant in the sense that how, first of all, does industry fully understand what is the process of education happening within the universities? Possibly, like, especially people like me who went to universities like, I don't know, 20 years back. Today, I think it's a very different world. I mean, like the students are going through. So I think one aspect of it is about showing the true process that happens in universities, right? I mean, in that sense. The other, from the university side, the changes are happening. Like they are working on technologies, new problem statements are coming up every day, and new approaches to problem statements are also coming up every day. Now, how do you feed that back into the industry, into the academia, planning process, right? I mean, in that sense. And I think that's the critical aspect of, I mean, I don't even think we need solutions. It is just about the starting point is really about the communication to know, first of all, like when we talk to campuses and students, a lot of students don't even necessarily fully understand what are the true skills required for specific roles or domains and things like that. There's at a high level, there's an understanding that I want to do Python, or I want to do to what Dr. Rai said about the trend, right? I mean, in that sense. But essentially, like data science is the fad right now. Everybody wants to become a data scientist. Now, what does it truly mean when you think at a slightly deeper level? What does a data scientist mean from a role-based and the skill required for a role of a data scientist? That is the kind of input that industry can provide, so that when we build out curriculums and when we build out the learning experience, we are sharp about what is it that we are trying to know and understand. And I think that's a simple way of looking at it at a very tactical level, right? Fundamentally, then I think when we start looking at centers of excellence that many of you have started doing in your own universities, I feel that again is at a broader level where the industry academia collaboration can come in, is the way I would think about. But very simply put, know what skills, show that skills are being taught, and measure those skills. Today technologies allow you to actually measure those skills. That's the best way to tell the world that, hey, it's not as dark as it sometimes is made it out to be. In that sense, that's the way I would look at it.
Great. Thank you very much for this honest response. Very often I talk about these things in webinars, that academia being very close to this product called student, and ultimately industry seeks out students who are ready for industry, right? So academia being very close to industry, close to the student, I think they should be part of the design of all these technologies that measure these skills. The edutech world will have to work around very closely with these architects in mind. Around that it has to be built, and that's the way the technology is going to be more humanized and more result oriented. Otherwise it is going to be one more theory which is not understood by either of the parties. So there is that danger that is going to be there. But there's one last round of question, and this has to be a rapidly answered question. It's not a fire. This is, we all mentioned that the new education policy is great in document and it has to be implemented. That's where the beauty lies. We all know that. It talks about the dual degree possibility. So the question to you is, what is the second degree or the second course that we would like to have? Is it going to be a curriculum based one or industry skill based? Very quickly, I think we'll take half a minute from each of these speakers. I think we'll start with Dr. Madhu ma'am. And also ma'am, please answer, what are the flexibilities from the point of view of regulation or operational flexibility that is required for universities in order to manage this shift from the current to industry 4.0? Both these questions you can answer, ma'am, and all of you also. Ma'am.
I think the first question is very obvious, that if we want to go for it, it should not be only and only in compartmentalization, that the education will be skill based, sorry, or it should be the learning based, but it should be the combination of skill as well as the facts. The second question coming is, which is very important for all the universities to go ahead. I will talk about in this 1 minute that you have gone through the 1888, you see all the philosophers. And if you see the John Dewey's philosophy, it was pragmatism. Long back in 1888, he said that if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, that means we rob them of tomorrow. It's well said in that era. And now if you see about, we are talking about Industry 4.0. So this fourth industrial revolution will dramatically change the way we relate to one another and live, work and educate our children. So I think these shifts are enabling for smart technology, as I think in the opening remark, Dr. Rao said that we are talking about machine learning, we are talking about artificial intelligence, but what should be the approach of the universities to go ahead, and which is very important. So because you have given very less of a time, I will be very fast, that there should be the 4 strategies for the Indian universities, not only Indian, but the global universities also. They should have in mind while aligning themselves for Industry 4.0. The first, and very fast, I will say, don't ignore the inevitable. So we have to be very, very particular that the technologies are developing very quickly. While it can be tempting to take a wait and see approach, which we can't do that we should wait and then approach to the coming changes. But universities need to remain vigilant whenever it comes. So Industry 4.0 aligned curriculum, Industry 4.0 ready curriculum, Industry 4.0 faculty members duly supported by the teaching learning processes in line with Education 4.0. The first approach should be this. Second should be, we should be ready for the dynamic alignment. And that is very important for the fast changing environment. it can be difficult to decide that what technologies and trends will positively transform the global education system. But whenever, wherever we find any change, immediately we should be very dynamic to align those changes into our teaching learning processes. Third, that we always say that when the students are coming from school education to the higher education, we have to make them unlearn some of the facts. So here also, for the whole education system, we should be ready for unlearning, then learning, and then relearning. Now, of my age, if we see, and the person sitting, Bipinji, of your age, there is a generation gap. So whatever you have learned, I think we have never gone through those. It means first I have to unlearn. I did COBOL and Pascal when I did my computer education. You are doing Python. So it means first I have to unlearn those platforms and then learn. And for that, I should be relearning the things. And that is very important. And the fourth and very important, last but not the least, is the faculty alignments. I think in every webinar, we were very concerned about that we have to support the faculty for these alignments. And whenever there is a change, we should try to, through FDPs, we should try to give them the knowledge, because they are of maybe the person who is into education for the last 35 years. And Python is coming, or any coding is coming. So they have to be ready for it. For that, we have to support. Thank you, Rausa, because it was too much to tell as a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the challenges with academia is that we will not be able to complete in the given time, but then I'm going to complete this in time. So today, thank you very much, ma'am, for your views. Dr. Sunil Rai, I would like to request you to answer not my questions, but questions from audience, so that we can take probably one or two questions that are appearing on the screen right now. Can NEP 2020 bring in revolutionary change in higher education, achieving international standards? Maybe briefly you can address that, sir, based on your background. I'm sure you can help us understand that.
Sure. The answer to that is a big yes. As I said earlier, that it is basically the thing is about believing in it. What aspect of NEP interests us most is, one is about the multidisciplinary integrative nature, and the second one is about that academic credit bank part of it. But then, as I said, that the mindset has to be changed. I mean, we don't have to complete a degree in 3 years. We can, of course, keep working, co-working with the industry, and then come back and complete our degree. The whole aspect about this would be, I would, of course, be, this is giving us an opportunity to the question which you had asked, Sudhakar ji, is what kind of degree I would like. I would like a degree like this, BTech in robotics, specialization. The other degree is medical area or medical sciences, because robotics for medical sciences may be different from industrial robotics and so on and so forth. So one is the knowledge and the other is the purpose. The degree has to cover both of these. We all have to believe in it. NEP, the success of NEP 20, of course, will not come from the regulators. But in this order, I would like to place it in this order. Industry has to believe in NEP 20. The society has to believe in NEP 20, that is parents, students, and then we educators in the university have to believe in NEP 20. All of us combined, we put in NEP 2020 can be implemented, and it will bring in revolutionary changes. Learn whatever you want, whenever you want, from whosoever you want, keep changing midstream, and so on and so forth. So I think if we all get together, NEP 20 will be a great success. And in India now, we are getting these traditions of repeating successes after successes. So NEP 20 will bring a revolutionary change in higher education.
Great, sir. That's a very informative and positive note on NEP and the kind of amendments that we have to make. And because India is, as you said, is a nation that survives on trends. And very beautifully, sir, you have summed up that collective belief will lead to the result of this NEP 2020 of all the stakeholders that are involved in this education crucible. Now, one more question I would request Dr. Siddharth Jabade to take. Can merger of universities be seen in future as we are seeing in banking sector? That's a question from audience. Very quick response I'd like to ask from you. Dr.
Very interesting it is very interesting question, and I will take it in view of Dr. Sunil Rai said. It is believing in NEP by industry and by people. And why not merger? Because it has to create, if the purpose is to create value for our students, because at the end of the day, we are here for our student fraternity. And if one has to create value for students and then value for the industry, then these meaningful, purposeful, and mission-driven could be the this, and may not be the right word merger. I would say collaboration, cooperation, and operation. In the interest of the students, in the interest of the industry. For example, if in Dehradun, some industry would like some particular skills, which it so happens that in Vishwakarma University, Pune, we have center and we can offer it. Why not to offer it to those students so that they are prepared, and vice versa. Same is with Chitkara and so on and so forth. In a way, I would see that will become a networked community of practice for the faculty and for the students, which is again going to integrate this entire nation, the faculty and the students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's very interesting. Collaboration is the catchword. I think just the way Internet of Things or Internet of many things is interpreted these days, it is a question of not just one device or one machine talking to another machine or other device. I think it is one industry talking to another industry, academia talking to industry. I think the university leadership will have to work enmeshed with the captains of industry as well, as we embrace the challenges of this gig economy being, not so permanent in terms of nature and short-term works that our kids are going to actually take up. But this is also a creative economy. The spirit of the discussion is gravitating towards one important point, that it is a creative economy, where economy is driven by the power of ideas, creativity, and the sustainability thereupon. Therefore, I think the success of this country to a large extent depends on this youth, and they have to be prepared both in terms of skills, competences, as well as mindset to actually take upon the challenges of the work, challenges of life and the society. So it's a greater responsibility for the ecosystem of higher education in this country to prepare the Gen Next, to always be ready for the next normal, as coined by McKinsey. It's not the new normal, but it is the next normal that we all have to gear up for. I think with the learnings that have been shared by the industry leaders and the university leaders, I'm sure this discussion will be worth watching over and over again. In the recordings will be available on social media. And I think there are lessons for even the universities and institutions to implement. I would like to thank all the members who logged in, the audience, and their questions have been very interesting. I would also like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And last but not the least, the most distinguished members of this panel. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to moderate. Thank you all, and we take leave of you.
Thank you, Sudhakar. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
there is a small token of appreciation from the World Education Summit side. I request Deepak. So this is a speaker certificate is presented to Mr. Sudhakar Rao, Director, ICFAI Group. Thank you, Sudhakar sir, for your precious time and wonderful moderation. Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Pro-Chancellor, Chitkara University, Chandigarh. Thank you, Madhu ma'am, for giving your time. Dr. Siddharth Jabade, Vice-Chancellor, Vishwakarma University, Pune. Dr. Parag Sanghani, Provost, PP Savani University, Surat. Thank you, Parag sir. Thank you very much. Professor Rabindra Bhattacharya, Vice Chairman, Global Business School, Kolkata. Thank you, Professor Rabindra sir, for giving your time. Dr. Sunil Rai, Vice Chancellor, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies from Dehradun. Thank you, Sunil sir. Thank you very much for. And Mr. Bivin Sivas, Head of Customer Success, APAC from Coursera. Thank you, Bivin. Thank you for giving your precious time to World Education Summit. And I request all my audience, if you have any other question, you can follow all our speakers on the social handle as well. They are much more active on the social handle and they can get back to your offline question as well. And otherwise, you can drop your question at education@digitallearning.in. We will send your question to the speaker. If they will revert, we will get back to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I request Deepak to play the AV. We have a break here and our next panel will be start by the 4:30. and it is one of the emerging panel, that is the personalization of the higher education utilizing data analytics to tackle the student mental crisis. So we will log in again at the 4:30. So stay tuned with the World Education Summit. Thank you everyone.